If life is a journey, why does Rumi say you've never left home? At first glance, the statement is contradictory. In everyday experience, growth appears to mean moving forward, changing jobs, relocating, improving habits, building relationships. Progress is pictured as distance from where we began. Rumi inverts that logic. He suggests that every step, success or setback, clarity or confusion, participates in a single process and returns. Not return to a place on a map, but return to a mode of perceiving reality in which we recognize our belonging to the source. In practical terms, this reframes how we interpret experience. Instead of measuring life as accumulation of milestones, we can read it as refinement of awareness. The claim is not anti-progress, it is a shift in the metric. What matters is not how far we moved, but what we remembered. In this lecture, we examine Rumi's lost code of return and show how it aligns with contemporary psychology, neuroscience of learning, and cognitive science of perception. Modern life trains us to feel far from meaning. We are oriented toward the next improvement, more income, better habits, greater visibility, while underestimating the value of present coherence. Cognitive research calls this progress bias. We overweight imagined future gains relative to current resources and capacities. The hedonic adaptation literature further explains why satisfaction quickly normalizes. The nervous system stabilizes around a baseline, and the next goal begins to glow. Self-discrepancy theory adds precision. The larger the gap between the actual self and the internalized ought self, the more anxiety and self-criticism we generate. We inhabit a psychological geography of distance. Who I am is here. Who I should be is out there. The result is a subtle exile from one's own life, perpetually anticipating meaning rather than inhabiting it. Rumi challenges this at the root. You cannot be far from truth, he argues, if your very being is shaped by it. What we call distance is a property of perception, not of metaphysical space. The function of experience is to dissolve the illusion of distance step by step, until awareness recognizes its ground. Jalal al-Din Rumi is not only a poet, he is a psychologist of consciousness and a philosopher of unity. Across the Masnavi, Fihi Ma Fihi, and Divan-e-Shams, he treats movement, loss, and longing as metaphors for return. We come spinning out of nothingness, scattering stars like dust. The stars form a circle, and in the center we dance. The image is not astronomy, it is epistemology. Motion unfolds within stillness, and all trajectories curve back to center. Philosophically, this rests on unity of being. There is no outside to the divine, therefore there is no journey away from it. Human life unfolds within the source, not apart from it. Modern learning science models growth not as straight lines, but as feedback loops, error, signal, adjustment, consolidation. From motor learning to identity development, correction is integral. In Rumi's terms, that corrective rhythm is the soul's way of returning home. You never left the source, you only forgot. Separation is a perceptual illusion, not an ontological fact. You are not a drop separated from the ocean. You are the ocean pretending to be a drop. Read psychologically. The feeling of exile emerges when attention collapses around a narrow self-story, roles, comparisons, grievances, and loses contact with the broader field of awareness. Cognitive science clarifies this mechanism. Identity is constructed through selective attention. The brain filters vast sensory input to maintain a coherent narrative self. When attention narrows to threat, status, or deficiency, The narrative amplifies distance. I am behind. I am unworthy. I am alone. This is not a moral flaw. It is a perceptual setting. The practical implication is crucial. Remembering the source is not mystical escapism, but attentional reorientation. It means widening the lens from personal storyline to the total field of experience. Breath, interoceptive signals, environment, others, until the boundary between me and world softens. Recall is an act of perception. Concrete example: consider the experience of professional rejection. Under a narrow lens, the event confirms a deficit identity. I am failing. Under an expanded lens, the same event becomes data, information about fit, timing, and skill gaps. The difference is not in the facts, but in the field of attention. Every experience is a teacher of return. The wound is the place where the light enters you. He is not romanticizing pain. He is assigning it function. Friction clarifies truth. Modern psychology calls this post-traumatic growth for a subset of individuals. Adversity initiates deeper meaning, improved relationships, and changed life priorities. Neuroscience provides a mechanism. The anterior cingulate cortex monitors conflict and errors, generating a need to adjust signal that recruits control systems in the prefrontal cortex. Put simply, the brain learns through discrepancy. Each mismatch between intention and outcome invites recalibration. Return is not regression. It is precision tuning of perception and behavior. Concrete example: a difficult conversation that exposes impatience can be read as failure. Reframed through Rumi's code, it is a mirror indicating where self-regulation is underdeveloped. The signal guides training, breath work before meetings, deliberate pauses, or cognitive reappraisal to integrate the capacity that was missing. The path is not forward, but inward. Modern culture externalizes progress, metrics, followers, promotions. Rumi reverses the axis. The movement that matters is towards self-knowledge, a spiral inward to the stable center. Why do you stay in prison when the door is so wide open? The walls are habits of perception. Psychology connects this to interoceptive awareness, the capacity to sense internal bodily states. Higher interoceptive accuracy predicts better emotional regulation and resilience. From a neuroscientific perspective, mindfulness training strengthens networks that integrate interoception with executive control, lowering default mode, rumination, and improving attentional stability. In Rumi's terms, returning home means returning to awareness itself, the vantage point that notices thoughts and emotions without over-identifying with them. The goal is not to eliminate thought, but to relocate identity from the content of consciousness to the capacity for consciousness. Concrete example: before responding to an accusatory email, a brief check-in with breath and heartbeat re-anchors attention. That inward step often changes the outward action. More context gathering, calmer tone, and a more accurate outcome. Each step reveals the whole. The journey itself is home. Each moment contains total reality. Practically, this means the qualities we seek at the end: peace, clarity, meaning, are available in micro at each step when attention is precise. A helpful analogy is state integration, even when the psyche is in a contracted state. Stress, anger, the pathway to the larger pattern remains accessible through specific cues: breath, posture, Learning is often fractal. Patterns repeat at different scales. Small insights mirror larger realizations. Micro-regulations train macro-stability. Concrete example: a 5-minute composure routine. Inhale count, exhale count, posture shift, label the emotion. Select one next action does not solve life, but it enacts the larger homecoming, order emerging from attention. No step is wasted if awareness is present. How can there be a journey if one never truly leaves? Rumi's answer is perspectival. From the human vantage, there is movement, developmental stages, changing roles, evolving skills. From the divine vantage, there is only unfolding within one reality. The traveler does not move through empty space toward a distant truth. The traveler's perception learns to register what has always held it. The traveler moves not through geography, but through appearance. The path exists so that consciousness encounters its own depth in time. Return is therefore not a reversal to a former location, but an awakening to the given ground. Perception is reconstructive. Each new experience rewrites memory networks. Identity is continuously reconsolidated. The brain is perpetually coming home to coherence, resolving prediction errors, minimizing surprise, and stabilizing useful models. The illusion of separation is not a mistake to be ashamed of. It is the stage upon which unity becomes conscious of itself. Movement is necessary because awareness learns through contrast. Even though the destination, grounded being, does not change, psychological practice reframes setbacks as information. Treat errors as data for the feedback loop, not verdicts on identity. Viewing mistakes as specific and changeable improves resilience and performance. After a disappointing result, ask 3 questions. What signal is this? What skill is missing? What is the smallest trainable unit? Contemplative practice, daily return moments. Rumi's tradition emphasizes remembrance, brief, frequent returns to awareness. Focused breathing shows decreased default mode activity and improved emotional regulation after short, consistent practices. Practical protocol, 3 times a day. 90 seconds each. Slow exhale emphasis. Widen peripheral vision. Label the present state in one neutral word. Behavioral strategy, inward referencing before outward action. Before reacting, locate the internal variable. What aspect of myself am I meeting here? Impatience, fear of status, loss, need for certainty. This converts external conflict into training objectives. Action follows assessment, not the other way around. Relational implication, see others as mirrors of the same source. Perceiving shared humanity increases empathy and reduces punitive judgments. Practically, translate irritation into a question. What unintegrated capacity is this person's behavior revealing in me? Boundary setting, patience, clarity, scientific integration. Respect homeostasis and load management. Biologically, systems move toward equilibrium after perturbation. Overloading nervous systems with constant novelty erodes integration. Apply adaptive dosing, short challenges, sufficient recovery, deliberate consolidation, sleep, reflection. Return is supported when learning cycles are respected. In a brief personal vignette, a researcher I worked with built a habit of pausing before high-stakes presentations to count 8 slow breaths and ask, "What ability is being trained now?" Over months, the routine didn't just reduce anxiety. It reframed the entire career arc, from chasing milestones to returning, repeatedly, to composure and truthfulness in action. For Rumi, the human story is not a march toward a distant deity. It is the divine becoming self-aware through our experience. Every gain and every loss refines perception until the traveler recognizes that home was never elsewhere. There was no road in the metaphysical sense, only the recovery of sight. Psychology calls this integration, alignment of values, emotions, and behavior. Neuroscience calls it equilibrium, the nervous system stabilizing after prediction errors. Rumi calls it remembrance, awareness recognizing its source. The vocabularies differ, the pattern is the same. The practical counsel is concise. The way home is not through miles, but through moments. Each moment, breath, conversation, decision, can enact the return when attention widens and identification softens. Progress remains meaningful, but as a byproduct of coherence rather than a substitute for it. You are not walking toward home. You are walking within it, and every step, confident or faltering, participates in the same project, the restoration of what never left you.